From now on, the fastest way to learn is by doing. What you should be doing is getting started. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been ready. And now today on your commencement, your first day of life in the real world, that's what I wish for you. Instead of trying to make your life perfect, give yourself the freedom to make it an adventure and go ever upward. So, there are a lot of reasons why this is a special day, but the reason that I'm so excited for all of you is that today's the first day of your life where you no longer need to be checking boxes. For the first couple decades, it's all about jumping through hoops, get these test scores, get into this college, take these classes, get this degree, pay your dues and get to work. All of that ends today. Thank God. The hard thing about planning your life is you have no idea where you're going, but you want to get there as soon as possible. And people here are going to tell you, like, oh, maybe you'll start a company, or maybe you'll cure cancer, or maybe you'll write the next great American novel. And you're probably thinking, no, I don't know, maybe things will go horribly wrong. I had no idea when I was graduating. And I've thought a lot about what's different about the life that all of you are beginning today. And I've thought a lot about, if I had to go back to 2006 and start it all over again, what would I do? And what got you here is basically being smart and working hard. But nobody tells you that today the recipe for success changes. And so what I want to do is give you guys a little cheat sheet, the one that I would have loved to have on my graduation day. And if you were to look at my cheat sheet, there wouldn't be that much on it. There'd be a tennis ball, there'd be a circle, and there'd be the number 30,000. Now, I know none of that makes sense right now, but let's roll with it. All right, so I started my first company when I was 21. I was born in a Chili's. Yeah, and my co-founder, Andrew Crick, and I had never done this before. So we think starting a company is a big deal. We're like, well, do you need to wear a suit to City Hall, or do we need to go get like a seal so we can stamp all of our important documents? And it turns out you can just go online and fill out a form and you're done in like 2 minutes. But a couple years later, things started going downhill. And it just felt like it got harder and harder to get things done. And of course, I'm like, oh God, there's something wrong with me. And I felt guilty because I was unproductive. And starting a company had been my dream for a long time. And so I remember this moment where I thought, well, maybe I don't have what it takes after all. So I was gonna say, work on what you love. That's actually not that helpful, right? It's so easy to convince yourself or rationalize that you love what you do. But when I think about it, the happiest and most successful people that I know, they're not just in love with what they do, they're obsessed. And they're not just obsessed, but they're obsessed with solving an important problem, something that really matters to them. I had like dogs growing up. I don't know if you've ever thrown a tennis ball for a dog. You lift it up and like the dog gets these like crazy eyes. And then you throw it and like the leash snaps and they go bounding off and they're like plowing through, whatever's in their way to get it. And that's what I hope all of you find. So the problem is a lot of people don't find their tennis ball right away. So it took me a while to get it, but I realized the reason why the people that work the hardest don't work hard because they're disciplined. They work hard because solving and working on an exciting problem is fun. So after today, it's not just about pushing yourself, it's about finding your tennis ball. It's about finding the thing that pulls you. It might take a while, but until you find it, keep looking and keep an ear out for that little voice. So they say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about that for a second. Like, who would be in your circle of 5? One thing I've learned is that surrounding yourself with people who inspire you is now just as important as being talented or working hard. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan hadn't been in the NBA? That's the point. Your circle pushes you to be better. And now your circle is going to grow to include your coworkers and the people around you where you live. And where you live matters. And this isn't a coincidence. For whatever you're doing, there's one place in the world where the best people go, and you should go there. Don't settle for anywhere else. Being able to meet my heroes and learn from them gave me a huge advantage. So your heroes are part of your circle too. So follow them. As you might expect, building this company has been the most exciting and interesting and fulfilling experience of my life. But what you probably don't know, and what I haven't really talked about, this has also been the most painful and humiliating and frustrating experience too. And I look back over the years, and I can't even count the number of things that have gone wrong. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. Nobody has a 5-0 in real life. Bill Gates' first company made software for traffic lights. Okay, Steve Jobs' first company made plastic whistles that allowed you to make free phone calls. Neither of these companies were successful, and it's hard to imagine that these guys were too worried about it. That's my favorite thing about what changes today. From now on, failure doesn't matter. You only have to be right once. I feel like I used to worry about all kinds of things, but I can remember the moment where I calmed down and got over it. So I just moved to San Francisco, and one night I couldn't sleep, so I'm on my laptop and I'm just on the internet. And I run into this page and I read, there are 30,000 days in your life. And I remember I tabbed into the calculator and I typed in, I'm like 24 times 365. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 9,000 days down. Like, what the hell have I been doing? And by the way, you guys are 8,000 days down. So that's how 30,000 ended up on the cheat sheet. That night, I realized there's no warm-ups, there's no practice rounds, there's no reset buttons. Every day, we're writing a few more words of a story. And from then on, I decided that instead of trying to make my life perfect, I want to make it interesting. I want my story to be an adventure. And that's made all the difference. All right. The last trap you might fall into after school is this idea of like getting ready. Right? Don't get me wrong. Learning is still your top priority. It's the most important thing you can do. But the way you do it changes. From now on, the fastest way to learn is by doing. Otherwise, if you have a dream, you can spend a lifetime planning for it and studying for it and getting ready for it. But what you should be doing is getting started. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been ready. And now today on your commencement, your first day of life in the real world, that's what I wish for you. Instead of trying to make your life perfect, give yourself the freedom to make it an adventure and go ever upward. Thank you.